the meathead, let's be real, the meathead would have come from me being overweight as a kid, insecure, and wanting to build something that
how do we get on the steps? So I don't mean to just like start drilling right in, but how does one start the steps of defining success without? Was there a cough? Did you hear that?
not someone else in it.
That was great. Did you not hear that?
We're having a good morning. This was something bad.
We did put mushrooms in our coffee.
Did you spike my tea?
Coconut leaf and mushroom. Yeah, look at hallucinations throughout the podcast. So yeah, how does one start defining that?
I think the first thing is getting clear on asking yourself, like, what is it? And being conscious enough to find truth within yourself. Because the biggest thing is we first have to look at what are the inputs coming in from the outside. Where are we getting this information from? When we look, like, if success is like money, well, why? And so much of the time, this is actually something recently I heard Vishen Lakhiani saying, and this really vibed with me. He had 3 questions. One was, what experiences do you want to have? The second was, when to have those experiences, what growth do you need to have? And then, as the person that has those experiences and has gone through that growth, what do you want to do for the world? And I really liked those 3 questions because for me, and this is what he was saying as well, there was always a so then, I want to earn money so then I can go and do this. I want to work up the corporate ladder so then I can go and do this. I want to whatever so then. And it was always like, why can't we just get to the end point of what it is that you want to do? And if you get clear on that, then fantastic. Let's just go straight to the end destination, because you don't want to be climbing up a ladder and figure out that you're climbing up the wrong wall at the end of the day. So let's just get clear. And it's a tough aspect, and this is why I want to open up the conversation, bring consciousness to the conversation of what is it that you really want, and getting clear with that. Because I did a silence meditation retreat in Bali a little while ago, and I had my first psychedelic experience. It was fantastic, but what I really got out of that entire experience is I was journaling the entire time. I couldn't believe what I was writing. Like I started reading some of it to my wife when I got back, and she was just like, "Oh my God!" Like it was profound. It was real. It was raw, and it spoke to me. And it was the first time I actually had to get away from life, literally, so I can actually start having that conversation with myself.
I was having that experience just last night. Not a psychedelic experience, but just kind of the thought. We have a lot of resistance, or there's some kind of taboo around folks that use plant medicines and things like that. It's like, okay, just shut up about the plant medicine. I think that the value comes in both expansion and contraction, and so you can look at various different ecstatic states as being an opportunity for this expansion. Most of our lives are based around contraction and focus and drive and goals and do and get it done and success.
Yeah.
And in that time frame, you can make it through your whole freaking life and just been like doing the whole time, and then you die, and you never actually even had the opportunity to step back and kind of like look like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
So I think creating that space for yourself is important.
Is giving that, having a hedonic calendar, having a schedule in which you do assess what is going on. And that's one of the best things I've actually been able to apply into my life, is each week sitting down, how's my week actually gone? What's actually happened? And especially for me, I was always that person of, okay, I want to achieve that, I will run through walls and I will make that happen, but when I get there, I'm always like looking over to the next thing, and I was just never celebrating anything. Never. And it was really bad, because what's the point? There was no fruit, there was no joy, there was no pot at the end of the rainbow of gold. It was just always get there, move on to something else. And thankfully my wife is fantastic because she helps me with that, and it's still something I'm working on. But I literally schedule celebrations, and this is something that I do like with myself. So like planning, say every 90 days, planning with my members and my clients and stuff like that. I always say, okay, there's 4 things that we need to look at right now. And this is where I get most jazzed, because I'm like, okay, so at the end of, let's say we're doing a quarter planning session, at the end of this 90 days, what are you going to do for yourself? What are you going to do for your family? What are you going to do for your friends and colleagues? And what are you going to do for the world? And it's when I actually get deep into those conversations and get those answers. Like someone say, for the world, people are like, oh, I want to, do you mean help more people? Fuck off. Like, it's just, you're not being real with me. You're not being real with yourself. You're lying right now.
Right.
What's the experience that you want to have? And I really enjoy that word, experience, because I want at point in time, so I'll give you an example. One of my members, with the what do you want to do with your family, he said he really enjoys drinking port. So, okay, fantastic. He goes, I really want to go buy a great bottle of port and be able to sit down with my wife and have a couple of glasses with my wife and that. And I was like, oh, I love that. Like, that's your jam. That's what you want to do. But that's an experience that you'll be able to then anchor from and then make better decisions later on. Because what I really enjoy finding out is like, Aaron, like for you being the person that you are right now, do you know what I mean? For you to think the strengths of what it is, the characteristics that you are, I would really be interested to know like what has happened previously. What anchor points do you have that give you that story? Because do you know what I mean? Our thoughts equal our actions equal our habits equal like the results that we get. But at the end of the day, the story is the first thing that we need to start from. That's the thing that we can actually change. We have the power of changing what our story is, the people that we are, the person that I am, the man that you are. You've created that. And then when we have the power to then go, okay, I want to create a new person, you can.
Yeah, we were talking before a bit about having accountability.
Yep.
You know, and that's something for me, like I will notice, like I think inherently I sense a lot of weakness in myself, and that if I don't have accountability, I'll just spin off into, I'll just surf all the time and like, which is fine, that's good, but I will, and I'll feel generally kind of like a sense of dissatisfaction and sometimes inadequacy will pop up. But if I have a podcast coming up with you, or if I have a seminar coming up, or a speaking event, or the book thing, then I'm like, okay, I have this person waiting at my doorstep in 72 hours. Okay, I gotta do it. Yeah. I'm actually kind of curious on, I think partly that's healthy and fine, just as long as you have this endless supply of accountability partners in your life. Yeah. They don't necessarily need to be like, voluntary partners. It could be about accountability, like I just have to show up for this thing, whatever it is, my child. Yeah. And then at the same time, I'm almost like, I almost feel like there's like weakness there. Because I'm like, if I don't have something to show up for, I'll spin off. Like we were saying before, like I have a lot of empathy for drug addicts. Yeah. I have a lot of empathy for homeless people that are living in a tent under a bridge. Like when I go by that, it's like a sensation of like, oh, I'm like right there with you, man. Like I don't feel that far away from that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
What separates you from going down that dark road that you don't want to go down?
Just, I think some of it, the parts of that I've been exploring is the like fear-based. And so finding resolve with it not being based off of a seed of fear and just being based off of a seed of like light. Like once like, yeah, we're just doing this, as opposed to like, oh, if I don't do that, this is going to happen. Mm-hmm. And then along with that, though, a lot of really great things come from that experience. So we signed up for the jiu-jitsu competition. I don't want to get my ass kicked. Yeah. So I have to learn everything. Yeah. But figuring out that balance of it just being, I don't know, is it healthy to have that? Or is it...
I think there's always balance. There's yin and yang with everything. And it's very interesting because I also feel the same in different parts of my life where I'm like, I need accountability. Let's say with the companies, I am a part of a couple of different masterminds. It's not for the technical know-how, the knowledge, the tactics, that sort of stuff. It's just making sure I show up. Like, not knowing that for me, I do so much better. Yeah. And I thought the exact same things. I was like, no, I don't need to be a part of this. Like, why am I paying like 50 grand to this one and 50 grand to this one? And do you know what I mean? Because it's like, it's 100 grand I can have extra for something else. Hang on. It's just the accountability I want, and I got cool with that. I was like, all right, well, if that's what I need, that's what I need. For example, writing the book, Craving Truth. So you were showing me your Scrivener before.
Yeah. Scrivener's a writing app program
Right,
that you can
fantastic.
organize your content. It's really great.
I didn't use Scrivener when I first started. I was procrastinating the shit out of it at the beginning. Like it was good, it was ebbs and flows. The thing that gave me accountability was the feature in Scrivener where you see how many words you've written.
Oh, dude, I love that.
That
Once I
little
get to
line-
500, I'm like, great, I can eat more butter.
Yeah. So for me, it was 1,000 words a day.
Well,
And
you went up to me.
it was, yeah, but it was
Like
like,
a
I
podcast.
had to think, my goal at the start was 60,000 words. And it ended up being 85,000 words. But it was so, like, there was so much joy coming from seeing that little bar, do you know what I mean? And it
Yeah.
changes colours from red to orange, and then it's green. I'm like, oh my God. And then I was like, wanting to write more and change things just because as I had new conversations, I wanted to share more information. So I found that that little thing gave me accountability. So it's interesting, and again, getting clear, what gives you accountability? Is it me knocking on your door, do you know what I mean, every day? Aaron, did you do your writing today? No? Get to work. Do you know, nothing else happens.
Right.
It can come in so many forms.
Yeah. Can you tell the story for people on my end
Yeah.
of your a little bit of like the Dubai and then the Bali, but the big thing you were telling me a story before of just kind of spontaneously, it's like let's just move to Dubai, or let's just move to Bali. Having that, sometimes I think there's a disconnect between this storybook ideal of what could be, and then the reality and being realistic. There's a quote from somebody, something along the lines.
Realistic.
Yeah, it says so realistic. I don't know who this was. This is paraphrased. I'm not saying this accurately at all, but we end up masking fear with the term staying realistic. So really, it's more that seed of fear. Where you're like, no, I'm just trying to, do the right thing, stay realistic. It's like, well, maybe there's a whole other world that you're actually protecting
What's
yourself
realistic?
from.
And this is a question I ask, especially my clients, is just like, what's realistic? Like, a common question people come in with one of the companies, and it's like, okay, how much money do you want to earn, let's say, over the next 12 months? $150,000. And I always come back with, I always just double it. And I'm like, okay, well, why isn't it $300,000? And do you know what I mean? It's like, these excuses start boiling up, and oh, it's realistic, gets thrown out a lot. And I'm like, well, what's realistic? The only person standing in your way right now is you. Do you know what I mean? You could have chosen the number right now, so I tried you. Anyway, let's get back to the story.
No, I like it. No, keep going.
Okay, yeah.
This is,
no,
you're
but
speaking to me.
It's like, realistic is a very shitty word. It's something that most likely should be taken out of our verbiage because it's not aligning to what we really want at the end of the day. So coming back to how I figured that out, and I'm not perfect by any means, I'm still working on my journey and enjoying this, but...
The only people I trust say that.
Nah, well, it's the truth. Nobody's got it figured out, to tell you the truth,
Right.
in any forms. For me, I was a personal trainer, so, okay, I was really overweight. I became a personal trainer because I finally figured out how to change my body, and I wanted to do it for other people. That was fantastic. I ran a personal training business in Sydney, fully booked, had a bunch of trainers working for me, it was really good, but I was getting really worn out. My wife and I got married, and then we found out that she was pregnant a little while after, and then I had the opportunity to move to Dubai and start a personal training business there. Now, I saw myself falling into the white picket fence life. Do you know what I mean? Getting married, having children, all that kind of stuff. And I was not happy in the position that I was in my life at that moment. Do you know what I mean? Like with where the business was. I was in the gym 6 in the morning, 6 at night, 6 days a week, and I was not having fun. So this opportunity came along from where it came, and my wife and I were like, yep, let's do it. Like, let's just go do it. So my wife was 3 months pregnant. I brought a general manager in to run my business, but I pretty much completely gave the business away, sold my home, sold my house, and then with my wife 3 months pregnant, I jumped on a plane and moved to the Middle East. I'd never been to Dubai before. I knew one person on the other side that was my connection, and I built up my personal training business simply because I literally burnt my ships. There was no way back for me. I had to make it happen. I had a wife, I had a baby coming on the way. Built the business up, flew back to Sydney. Lauren gave birth to our gorgeous daughter, Arlo. We then got back on the plane, went to Dubai, lived in Dubai for 2 years, and I didn't learn my lesson the first time round. I got to the same point, had trainers working for me, running a great business, fully booked, charging a very good premium rate, but I was burnt out again. And there was one point that really was the straw that broke the camel's back, and that was one afternoon. I'd been in the gym from morning till it was like 5, 6 o'clock. I jumped in the car to drive back to where we're living. We're living on the Palm in Dubai, kind of an island shaped like a palm. So I'm like racing home down Sheikh Zayed Road to get back in time, and my daughter was asleep by the time I got home. So I couldn't give her the bottle, I couldn't bath her. I didn't get to spend any time with her that day when I got there, and it just fucking broke me. Like I was just like, I'm not being the man I want to be, I'm not being the father I want to be, I'm not being the husband I want to be. Like this is just not me right now. Like this is something that has to happen, and it always sucks when you got to be in pain to really make a decision to then get moving across. So then my wife and I really talked. I had read The 4-Hour Workweek, God knows how many years before that, and had planted the seed that had slowly been sprouting. I'd started dabbling in some online work, and I was like, I really want to build this online business. Like this is the thing that I want to do. This is where I see my life and lifestyle being able to grow for. And pretty much 3 weeks later, my wife flew to Bali because we decided let's move to Bali if we're going to move anywhere in the world. And she found our villa, she found like a nursery for our daughter, like visas, the whole thing was sorted. She came back, we sold everything, pretty much like smoke bomb Dubai, moved to Bali, and then suddenly I was there running my online business. And a few years later, now we're here.
Cool. What was the transition to Bali?
Really hard. Yeah. Honestly, really hard. We did not know what we were getting ourselves into. Our electricity was just like turning off at times. We're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, Jesus, like another blackout? No, we actually had to prepay electricity. Like you actually get like a prepaid phone where you pay for it and you punch the numbers in and do you know, it all turns back on. Yeah, we didn't know that when we first got there. That would have been helpful knowledge, do you know what I mean? So there was all these things. So teething when we first got there and living in Bali was, Lauren, my wife and I, we laugh when we look back, but it was hard. And especially with me like really starting the online business then and my online coaching, it was like, oh my God, like that was, yeah, it was a tough time. But again, I look back at it now and I'm like, it's all good. Like it's fantastic. We're here right now. I'm being able to sit down and have this conversation with you. I feel totally blessed and grateful. Like it's all worth it. But at the same time, it would never have happened unless I was in that pain. And if I never asked the right question of what do I want?
Yeah. So what's from work-life balance, I think, is something that I've been kind of pondering on. You know, I think I'm doing okay with it. Is there any kind of tools or tactics that you do with that?
Really good. I've been stewing on this for a while now as well. So I think work-life balance in the real sense,
which is a shitty
bullshit.
term, by the way. Yeah, is that what you're about to say?
Yeah. So it's like work-life. I think it's life.
Right.
But the way that I conceptualize this right now, let's talk right now in this situation. So I'm here in LA for like 5 weeks. I've got 2 more weeks to go. My main focus was launching the book and having great conversations, like doing these interviews right now. I'm all in on that. Am I being the best father? No. Like this morning, I got to spend some great time with my girls. We did some painting, we did some puzzles. That's great. But for the rest of the day, I'm completely out. So the way that I look at it is there's obviously a bunch of different spinning plates that we have in our lives right now. But let's commit to a couple that we want to be really good at now, and it's simply seasons. I'm in a season right now of this is my focus and I'm all in on this. After LA, we're in Mexico for 4 weeks. I'm totally chilled out. My goal for Mexico is eating plenty of guac, getting plenty of sun, and having some really good family time. Do you know what I mean? Like I've literally structured for the business eyes as well, that everything comes ramping down, and I'm just like, I'm not off the grid, but I'm taking some real downtime for myself as well. So therefore, do you know what I mean? My husband role, my father role, me taking care of myself as well role, that gets right up to the top. And obviously the business and everything else doing takes a step down.
Yeah, I was reading recently, I just released a podcast today with a woman called Kimberly Snyder, who I mentioned earlier.
Yes.
Super sweet woman. Highly recommend people checking her stuff out. But one of the things I got out of her recent book with Deepak Chopra called Radical Beauty was living your life in relation to...
I've just read that.
Oh, good. Cool. Sweet. Yeah, Kimberly was just over here, sure. Um, but was following your life in kind of like following the moon cycle with it, which probably 0.0001% people do this. There might be like a few witches listening, like, I do that. But having some type of cycle for your life, as opposed to, again, always being just on and then burning out, you know, what they were mentioning in there is like as the moon is waxing, which is getting bigger, I think, that's when you're building up. You know, so you're starting to implement your ideas, and then like at the highest point, the full moon, it's like launch. You know, whatever your metaphoric launch is. And then when it's waning, you go in the other direction. You go in introspection. You go in rest, and you take a break. And you know, it's really important to have that, I think.
I was just having a conversation yesterday about the need for that on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, right.
And the need of you've got to breathe in so that you can breathe out. So like, I can go. And this is a big thing that I have to work on. I can go through the day where I'll just be like, go, 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 go. And then at the end of the day, it's like, oh my God, like that was crazy. But it's like, no, I need time during the day, whether it's, for me, I've actually figured out, okay, I'm just going to sit down, I'm going to read for 45 minutes in the middle of the day. And then if I want to have a nap, maybe I can try and fit a nap in, or maybe do I meditate, or just do some box breathing for 5 minutes or something like that. Do something where I can try and like recharge, put myself back into a state, like let's maybe just go parasympathetic and stop trying to be kind of fight or flight the whole time. But yeah, day-to-day basis, what are you doing? Week-to-week basis, what are you doing? Monthly, quarterly, yearly, in a life. I think it's a really important conversation to have.
You don't keep your cell phones on airplane mode in the morning.
Yes, I try and keep my phone on airplane mode at like 10 a.m. is kind of the earliest that it will come off, unless we've got something to actually to do. So for us, I had to get here, so Uber got me here. I'm really trying to see how far I can push that back. I'll be really interested to see, like, does it ever have to come off airplane mode?
Right.
That would be a cool conversation to have.
Live an aesthetic life inside your Polynesian hut.
Yeah,
you can
totally.
do it.
Well, it's a problem as
Probably
well.
a lot easier to do it out there. I guess,
it's much easier to do it there.
Yeah.
It's that black iPhone thing, that can be a real distraction. And like we were just talking about Instagram earlier, like, do you know that little dopamine kick of getting like replies and likes and all that kind of stuff? Like, that's not fulfilling. Like, that's not good at all. So again, like, I've been really sitting down and trying to look at myself and like, where am I going wrong right now? What are the things that I need to be working on? And the time, especially because one of the biggest failings as a father that I've had and I want to work on is not being present 100%. And it was interesting, I walked into a mastermind a little while ago, it was like 7-8 figure entrepreneur. Like, I was like, oh my God, couldn't believe I was in this room with all these people. And we did this exercise, and all the guys, we came to the conclusion, like, we did this exercise, you had to put these sticky notes on this whiteboard. It was like, what are you struggling with? Anyway, so we all put it up there, and it really came down to, when we were with our families, we were guilty that we weren't working. When we were working, we were guilty that we weren't with our families. It was a no-win situation that we were putting ourselves in. So that's where I'm like, if I'm working, I'm working. Whether I'm playing with my girls and we're painting this morning like we were, like, there's no phone around, I'm not thinking about it, I'm like totally being present and conscious. And it's something I have to work on. Like, I am not perfect at that at all, but I've got to get better because I feel like that's where the most joy comes from.
Yeah, what was the sticky exercise?
I was simply just writing down, like, what are the top 3 things that you're struggling with, and we were all putting it up on the whiteboard. And then what the guy that was running it with was like, oh, okay, these 2 are the same, so let's get rid of this. And it was funny how it just went down, it got whittled down to only a few up there.
Okay. So people can do that at home then?
Totally. Just get a piece of paper right now. What are the 3 things that you're struggling with most?
And then what do you do with it from there?
Well, then you want to work out, how do I fix this? Like, you want to question, why am I having that problem? Where is that problem coming from? And then we can figure out, okay, is this something that I'm just like putting inside my head right now? Like, is this like, oh, I think that I'm struggling with this, but I'm really not? Is there something else sitting behind it that maybe I should ask a better question for? But then it's just simply figuring out, how do I fix this? Yeah. Like, I love being able to sit down at the end of the week and just being able to go, okay, what am I struggling with right now? What do I need to get better at? And then simply, I get a real kick out of this. Like, it's awesome. Then going, okay, what do I need to do to fix this? I literally did this 2 days ago, and I was like, oh my God, like, I planned the next 3 months out for myself. And I looked at what I need to do, and I was like, this is good. I've got this. Do you know what I mean? It's something I've got really good clarity, because if I don't have clarity, I'm useless. But then I could see exactly what I need to do, and it wasn't that much. And I was like, oh, I feel really good about this.
Are you familiar with Byron Katie, The Work?
No.
Oh,
tell me more.
You got to get into her stuff.
Yeah.
I'm doing an interview with her on the 23rd this month or so, whenever that comes out.
Yeah.
But she's
Shit, I'm in Mexico then. I think I leave on the 22nd. I'm just going to sit in the background.
You got to tune in. But she is, so her thing's called The Work, and I highly recommend people check her thing out. She has these little worksheets that people can use. And essentially, it's kind of just like a technique or practice where you go through and rewording, reframing the way that we see things. And oftentimes we end up seeing things as being kind of like the responsibility of other people. You know, so an example, I went to one of her workshops recently for New Year's called the Mental Cleanse. And one of the people that went up on stage, they go and they have these epiphanies up on stage and people cry and stuff. It's great. But one of the people, his mom was an alcoholic. And so it was like, you know, I'm mad, and like I think I hate her for it. And I'm like, so she's like hurt. She's doing it to me and to us and to her family. She doesn't care. And then, but the rework with that was, it's not so much that his mom's an alcoholic, but more that he's an alcoholic. He's addicted to his mom's alcoholism. Yeah. You know, he's addicted to replaying that thought over and over in his head. Really, it has nothing to do with his mom. She's just on her journey. She's on her path. You know, but getting into, you know, by tooling with your words and your perceptions a little bit, you can kind of draw back a little bit and realize, holy dear God, I'm responsible for every square inch of this reality that I'm in here with. But every time that we put it out to somebody else, then it's, you know, it's someone else's responsibility, which is a really insecure footing.
Two things when you say that come to my head. One is being a father, especially with my children young, is, I hope I don't fuck them up. But at the same time, no, seriously, they're like, it's just,
well, you're going to regardless. It's unavoidable.
To a point, yes, but it's also, I have the power to really set them up.
Yeah.
So for me, a big part is I want them to come with me as I travel around the world and do this and build these businesses and stuff like that. Like this morning when I was doing a coaching call, like they're sitting on my lap as I'm doing it, and they're like, my members now just know that they're probably going to be sitting there and they're just like watching and listening and stuff like that, and they'll just walk off and do their thing and whatever. So it's actually, okay, one, oh my God, I don't want to fuck them up. Two, I had the power to help them and help them become fantastic human beings that they can grow into. But it's also, at the end of the day, it's always our own responsibility. Do you know what I mean? It's always, oh my God, like, okay, it's not my mum, it's really me. Like, it's not this circumstance, it's really me. And it reminds me of like the different levels of consciousness. Like there's the to me, which is the victim mentality. Do you mean things happen to me? I can't do this because of this happens to me. And then there's the by me, and this is what I've said a few times now, but that was me 9 months ago. Before, it was like, okay, if anything has to happen, it has to happen by me. Do you know what I mean? If I want to get there, I'll run through that wall and get there. And then there's the through me. Things are just going to happen through me at the end of the day. I don't have to force it. And it's amazing when, I still get into that by me mentality for sure, but it's amazing when I really start to sink in and go, okay, like things can happen through me right now. Things can be so much easier.
What are practices to get through me to start
Meditation.
popping up with people? Yeah, that's kind of what I was planning on.
Yeah, totally. For me, that's where it's at. I know if I don't meditate, but I need to do it each day. My wife can pick up on it. You haven't meditated today, have you? No, sorry.
What does that look like? You're like kind of a meathead.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How the hell did that happen? Not the meathead part, but the turned into like the conscious dude.
I've always been soft inside.
Oh, good.
Yeah. No, I totally am. I know. The meathead. Let's be real. The meathead would have come from me being overweight, insecure, and wanting to feel something that. This is where I want to make sure that you get the most out of being here, and I want to hear from you. So if you've enjoyed this episode, click like and make sure I can send you the new episodes each and every week. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Also, I really want to make sure that I'm giving you exactly what you need. So comment below. I want to know what you're going to take away from this episode. And the best conversations after every episode always happen in the Breaking Success Tribe. I'll pop a link below for you to join the free group so you get access to the guides, the live streams. I'm in there answering your questions personally each and every day, plus you get all the episodes as well.
So thank you so much for being here and joining us. I'm really looking forward to seeing you in the next episode.